When that sun comes shining through, lighting up what's left of you, and you set it all aside for another day. Pick it up and rearrange it, though you know that you won't change it, 'cause you've always been a stranger anyway. Now you left your window open just to keep your spirit rolling, but you're hoping that your mind will close the door. Take it up 2 steps higher when you're drowning in the fire. The hope you had helped you along the way. If the story feels exactly like a dream, don't know what it means, things ain't what they seem, and you can't just turn the page and let it go. Things that you've been told are deep down in your soul. Now don't make you move too early, or you'll show up in a hurry. You can fall down and surely lose your way. Heaven help you if you mean it, 'cause there's those that would defeat it. They can turn you around and take it all away. Now don't look down in the dirt just to find out what you're worth, 'cause that song and dance was never worth your time. Just work hard and do it right, learn to speak up and to fight. The truth is gonna beat them down the line. If the story feels exactly like a dream, don't know what it means, things ain't what they seem, and you can't just turn the page and let it go. Things that you've been told are deep down in your soul. If the story feels exactly like a dream, don't know what it means, things ain't what they seem, and you can't just turn the page and let it go. Things that you've been told are deep down in your soul.
Good morning and welcome to the online service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. My name is Maria Cecilia Torres, and I am pleased to be acting as your worship associate today. Our service leader this morning is the Reverend Margie Allen, and our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little. I would like to offer a special welcome to anyone who is visiting us today. We are glad you are here, especially during this time of social isolation. Before joining this fellowship almost 8 years ago, I had been on a large, long pilgrimage in search of a nurturing worship community. During my early visits here, I felt this was the place where I could be my authentic self, where I was listened to, whether in a small group gatherings or in the large, warm community. I knew I had finally found my spiritual home. Our services vary in style and content, and we hope you will visit us more than once to get a true sense of who we are as a diverse community of faith. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religion with no fixed creed that everyone must accept. We are guided by our 7 principles and multiple sources of inspiration. You will find information about this on our webpage, UUFSB.org. Let this virtual sanctuary be home this morning. Wherever you are coming to us from, however you were led to join us, you are so welcome. And now some reminders. At the end of our service, we will have a virtual coffee hour. Just stay in this meeting and our talented tech team will make us visible and audible to each other. After this time together, we break into small groups where new relationships can be forged in a more relaxed environment. Simply leave the coffee hour and sign back in by clicking on the small group chats link on our website or in the newsfeed. May you find this time together nourishing and enriching.
Let us enter now into this spirit of worship with the sounding of our morning bell. Come ride the sound of this Nepalese Buddhist bell into our shared experience of sacred space and time.
Our chalice lighting words this morning come to us from Amy Williams Clark. As we gather in this time of uncertainty, full of unknowns, I light our chalice this morning with a flame that draws us together. With this flame, we cut through darkness and isolation and are warmed by the fires of interconnection. For this moment, we find the certainty within the bonds of love and community. We have now kindled our flaming chalice, the symbol of our UU faith. In this season of lights in the growing darkness, we also recognize this morning the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah with gratitude to the Reverend Joanne Lapkin and the All Souls Church of Braintree, Massachusetts, who offered our congregations this video lighting.
Good morning. Last night, families around the world lit Hanukkah candles, lighting 3 candles for the 3rd night of the festival. So I bring this morning the practice of lighting candles to this Unitarian Universalist congregation, where many of us, like myself, have a Jewish background or want to honor the Jewish holidays. The rabbis of the Talmud, well, they argued a lot, and one of the things they argued over was how one should light the Hanukkah lights. One rabbi and his school of thought that each night you should add an extra light, that on the first night you light 1 candle or lamp, and the second night you light 2, and so on. Another school of thought said, no, you should start with 8 and get fewer and fewer as it goes on. So from 8 candles and lamps or lights to 7 and 6. Well, as you may have guessed, the school of thought about adding light won over time, that's what we do. And the rationale is that we should be increasing light. We should be increasing joy in the world. We should be bringing more light to darkness. I'm taking that to heart this year, that in a year where things have been hard, let's add light. Let's add joy. Let's add wonder. So whatever that looks like for you, may this be a season of increasing light and joy, warmth and connection during long nights. I'll sing the Hanukkah blessings in Hebrew, the first 2 blessings over the candle, and the third for the first time in a year where one does something. And since this is the first Sunday this year where we're lighting Hanukkah candles together, we'll sing that one as well. And following that, we'll say the English translation. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kedushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, bayamim hahem, ba'azman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'echianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Blessed are you, source of all, who brings moments of holiness to our lives through the ritual of lighting the Hanukkah lights. Blessed are you, source of all, who brings our attention to miracles from ages past to this very moment. Blessed are you, source of all, who has given us life, sustained us, and brought us to this very moment. And let us say, Amen. Happy Hanukkah.
In 168, before the Common Era, the soldiers of Antiochus IV, the Seleucid king who controlled Judea, descended upon Jerusalem, massacring thousands of Jews and desecrating the city's holy second temple by erecting an altar to Zeus and by sacrificing unclean animals within those sacred walls. After 2 years of strategic guerrilla warfare in rebellion, the Maccabees successfully drove the Syrians out of the city and turned their attention then to the reclaiming, purification, and rededication of the temple's space. Finding only a day's worth of uncontaminated oil for the relighting of the menorah, they took a leap of faith. The miracle Hanukkah now commemorates was that the oil lasted for 8 nights, leaving them time to find a fresh supply of oil. The miracle of light that is central in this ancient story frames our reflection this morning on the creative project of sorting through the ruins of our own time to reframe and reinvent who we are as individuals, as families, communities, and as a nation, that we might together build on this new normal, a worthy future. And that work, it takes a village, takes courage, takes out of the box creativity, takes focused reflection on good questions, takes a lot of deep breaths and meditation along the path. Performers from First Unitarian Society of Denver will lead us now in Sarah Dan Jones' lovely meditation on breathing. We hope you'll allow one of their harmonies to draw you into the gift of meditative chant.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
I invite you to join me and each other now in a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer. A few words, some time for reflection in the silence, and then an oh so familiar hymn, number 123 in our hymnal, Spirit of Life, with Peter Winkler and Dee Dee Cook leading us in singing. I hope you'll sing or hum along as we open ourselves to the flow of life energy that roots us in our source of power and frees us for the work of co-creation. To take with you into the quiet time ahead, here's a poem by Eric Nixon. It is called Reinvention. At one age, it seems as if life is going firmly in a certain direction, and you head that way, chugging along at full speed, but things change sharply. And after a time set adrift in a place that's unfamiliar and completely unknown from where you thought, from where you planned on being, stunned, wondering what happened. Some people in this place break down completely, pining away for the life they feel is due to them, they feel should be theirs. Some people, though, go through a period of introspection and experience a type of reinvention where they pick themselves up and rebuild their lives with what they've been given, with what they have in hand, and are surprised to see they are now in a better place than they would have been before the life-altering change. The poet Eric Nixon and his poem Reinvention. A type of reinvention where they pick themselves up and rebuild their lives with what they've been given, with what they have in hand. 2020 has set most of us adrift in some way, fogged in, as I put it last Sunday. During these strange, disoriented months, what have you been given? And how shall what you have in hand be used to reinvent your life on the other side of our shared life-altering change? What do you need in order to imagine and live into a new vision? What do you have in hand that you know is essential? And what do you have in hand that you know you must leave behind in order to proceed unimpeded? As we prepare now to enter into our moment of shared silence and personal reflection, a little light to see by. A photo of the Yule log that lit the dais in our sanctuary on Christmas Eve in 2018. 'Tis the season of lights shining in the darkness.
stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
My reflection. Reinvention. I dreamt a few nights ago that I reached into a basket of folded papers to choose my preaching topic assignment in a training program of some sort. Apparently, all the topics were on the theme of car parts and car maintenance. My paper read, tires. Now, there was some other topic I wanted, maybe steering, but instead I got tires. I posted this account of my dream on my Facebook page. Many suggestions came in response to my post about what such a service might be about. Andrea Lerner, our former Metro District executive, commented, "Where the rubber meets the road, hashtag that will preach." Eric Kamenetsky, a UU minister colleague of mine, wrote, "Where angels fear to tread, haha." Linda Michael said, "It will be a good year." Rosie Wiesner wrote, "I'd go with punctures." And Kay Aparo wrote, "Check the pressure." There's lots of food for thought in those responses and others to my dream. But what came into my mind right away inside the dream was a firm foundation for safety, for movement, for coping with conditions. Without tires, you're not going anywhere in your car. And without high quality tires with good tread depth, without the tools to fix a flat or a friend or service to come to your aid, you will be at risk everywhere you go when conditions are bad. How fit are your tires for the journey ahead? I think we might all concur that conditions are bad right now. Our democracy is currently undergoing an existential threat worse than I think most of us think about on a day-to-day basis. The question of its survival is far from over, and woe is us if the citizens of these United States do not continue to step up with vigor, habitually and meaningfully, to defend and reinforce the structures that keep our democracy working for all the capital P people. The window for passing on to our children and theirs anything like the earth environment we have enjoyed in our lifetimes is rapidly closing. We see clear signs of the losses we earthlings will incur if we do not join hands now and run, not walk, to set in motion the remaining strategies for containing the damage. This pandemic has given us a glimpse of the awesome power nature possesses for managing life forms whose activities are disrupting the integrity of the entire web of existence. I know this idea may have no foundation in science, and maybe it does, I don't know. But seriously, greed and selfishness have consequences beyond the personal. I don't mean punishment by God in some afterlife. I mean a catastrophic domino effect orchestrated by the natural world's known and unknown mechanisms for maintaining ecological balance. And to continue my little list here, I more and more have the feeling that we humankind as a species are allowing ourselves to get more and more intellectually lazy, less creative, less informed, less discriminating, more and more physically weak and less healthy, and more spiritually disoriented and unresponsive, and more morally vague and ethically blind with every passing generation. This could be just a function of my age, what old ladies think about the past, but I worry about the quality of our education, about priorities in about priorities in family life, about the manipulation of our desires by entities concerned only with the accumulation of wealth, about our pipeline for wise and effective public leadership, about where in the world the rigors of spiritual growth in our society will be supported going forward. Are your tires roadworthy? Our congregations, our local communities, our countries, our global human collectives? When normal is disrupted, it's a good time, maybe not an easy time, but a good time, after the anxiety and grief have dissipated a bit, to consider the very bottom layer of what it might take at every level of responsibility for human beings to reassess the effects of our presence on Earth, and to consider our choices for a rebalancing act, for reimagining and reinventing a fruitful, sustainable pattern of giving and receiving, layer by layer, that will allow every kind of life on this complex web of life to find its place and thrive within known limits. Tom Allison's prelude offering this morning, a song called I Don't Know What It Means, includes these poignant beckoning words. When the sun comes shining through, lighting up what's left of you, and you put it all aside for another day, pick it up and rearrange it. We start with the personal and familial. You start with you, I'll start with me. Our lives have been changed in a way that allows us to see the pieces in a new light, perhaps in the light of the Hanukkah, of the Advent wreath candles, of the Yule log on the winter solstice, or of the glowing Christmas tree or the Kwanzaa flames. Pick it up and rearrange it. What foundation in your personal and family life do you need to establish so that you are consistently doing all you can to practice in right relationship with fellow earthlings with whom you have contact, to create a household that operates on shared values and invests life energy purposefully and prudently for the growth of every member and their well-being, to engage in community life beyond your household in a way that exposes you all to people who are different from you and that allows you to see those who are not thriving, to help address the need, and to challenge the conditions that created the need, even if those conditions have been benefiting you. To support the health of our young nation by fully engaging in our democratic process and defending it against those who would undermine it to meet their own ends. To reduce your negative impact on our shared environment in every way you can, even when doing so involves unaccustomed discomfort, inconvenience, and deprivation. Putting my hand up like that makes me think 5 golden rings. Consider the congregational. How has our life together changed in the last 10 months? What for the good? What will we need to recover and reweave into our shared lives? And what are we finding we're glad to be shed of? One thing I've been glad to welcome into our virtual worship experience, just one clear example here, has been the voices and music of Unitarian Universalists who are not in our fellowship. In many ways, we've had more glimpses of the wider UU world than we've had over the 10-year course of my time with you. And it feels like time now. Right now, an unprecedented amount of mutual appreciation and generous exchange is happening in our association. I welcome the gifts of my colleagues, such as Joanna Lubkin's elegant Hanukkah lighting, and the gifts of music from other UU musicians serving in other congregations, such as the performers from First Unitarian Society of Denver, who gave us meditation on breathing. It's time, I think, that we acknowledge that thinking ourselves entirely self-sufficient, even in the areas of worship and music, can contract our imagination and our vision, close us out from a fertile and generative practice of giving and receiving in wider community, and distance us from the virtue of humility in a way that can be deeply damaging. And what about our nation? I thought Tim Wu's opinion in this past Wednesday's New York Times helpfully kicked the tires of our country. He asked what it was that stood in the way of a movement in our government driven by aggressive autocratic impulses. And his three answers did not include what we would normally list as our systems of checks and balances. He named 3 pillars of the unwritten Constitution, as he said, and I quote, "The first is the customary separation between the president and federal criminal prosecution, even though the Department of Justice is part of the executive branch. The second pillar he mentioned is the traditional political neutrality of the military, even though the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And the third he listed was the personal integrity of state elections officials." He did not list, and I do not know why, a fourth pillar, I think very clear: we, the people ourselves, spoke up and took action like we were supposed to. Who knew? We often do not know what is essential in the structure of anything until it is tested by bad conditions. Strengths we did not know we had kept the United States out of the ditch so far. As we sort through the debris of our COVID-era lives, search out the core virtues and strengths that hold our lives together in bad conditions. Because those are the things we want to save and propagate as we reinvent ourselves, our families, our congregation, our communities, our nation, and our relationship to the web of all life in a post-COVID world. New tires for new terrain. Amen.
It is our spiritual practice to encourage ourselves in generosity by taking an offering that will be shared between our fellowship and an agency doing social justice work. Our Share the Plate recipient for the month of December is Community Solidarity, a grassroots food share organization that serves low-income communities in Long Island and New York City. They provide fresh produce, groceries, and vegetarian meals to families in need. They collect and redistribute clothing, toiletries, books, and toys. They rescue fresh produce destined for the landfill, and they organize community garden projects. During times of major storms and emergencies, thousands of community solidarity volunteers work around the clock, helping struggling families. During this time, when we cannot pass the plate in person, this is your invitation to continue sending in your much needed pledge payments and contributions to the work of this fellowship and our social justice partners. Please give generously. Details on how to make your contribution and indicate how it should be allocated can be found in a special news feed or on our webpage. It is with deep gratitude that we receive your gifts. Thank you.
Done. I am resilient. I trust the movement. I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 yeah. These times are poignant, the winds have shifted. It's all we can do to stay uplifted. Lifelines through backyards, bulls howling out front. Yeah, I got my crew, but truth is what I want. Realigned and on point, power to the peaceful, prayers to the waters, M's at the center, all vessels open to give and receive. Let's see this system brought down to its knees. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 I'm made of thunder, I'm made of lightning, I'm made of dirt, yeah, made of the fine things. My father taught me that I'm a speck of dust and this world was made for me, so let's go and try our luck, yeah. I got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, down, down deep. I've got my roots down, down, down deep. So what are we doing here? What has been done? What are you gonna do about it when the world comes undone? My voice feels tiny, and I'm sure so does yours. Put us all together, make a mighty roar. Yeah, a mighty roar. I am resilient. I trust the movement, I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen.
This is what you shall do. Our closing words come from the preface to Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. This is what you shall do. Love the earth and sun and the animals. Despise riches, give alms to everyone that asks. Stand up for the ignorant and the suffering. Devote your income and labor to others. Hate tyrants. Argue not concerning God. Have patience and indulgence toward the people. Re-examine all you have been told at school or church or in any book. Dismiss whatever insults your own soul. And your very flesh shall be a great poem and have the richest fluency, not only in its words, but in the silent lines of its lips and face and between the lashes of your eyes and in every motion and joint of your body. Walt Whitman. Our closing hymn carries an Advent message. This time of year in the Christian calendar is a period of waiting for agents of change to take shape on the horizon of our vision of what might happen and who we might become. We sing here of a guest whom we will welcome, a seed which we will nourish into bloom, and a star that will light our path forward. As 2020 comes to a close, it might be helpful to look for them yourself, the guest, the seed, the light. Look for them as companions along your way into the new year. Let's sing together hymn number 226, People Look East.
People look east, the time is here, of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able, trim the hearth and set the table. People look east and sing today, of the dancing's on the way. Furrows be glad, the earth is bare. One more seed is planted there. Give up your strength, the seed to flourish. That in course the flower may flourish. People look east, love the rose is on the way. Stars keep the watch when light is dim. One more light the bowl shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. People look east, love the star is on the way.
As our service draws to a close, we extinguish this flame, but what it has sparked within us continues to glow, connecting us invisibly. We are one, and from every window, let our light shine.
Thanks so much to Maria Cecilia, who is our WA today, and her first journey into the role, doing such a wonderful job.
Thank you.
So warm. In benediction this morning, this reassurance from L.R. Nost. Do not be dismayed by the brokenness of the world. All things break, and all things can be mended. Not with time, as they say, but with intention. So go, love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. The broken world waits in darkness for the light that is you. Amen. Blessed be.